Welcome to the conclusion of World War Hulk. This is it. It's all over, and he's going to be facing off against Marvel's Superman. That's basically what he is. And for those of you guys who are going to argue, Marvel's Superman is basically Hyperion and Sentry. They've tried it twice. Neither time has worked. But let's see what's going to happen when he fights against the Hulk, and as we come to the conclusion of this story. If you're just now joining us, then welcome to World War Hulk. The Hulk was exiled off of the Earth and sent into space where he landed on a war planet. He conquered and made a life for himself with friends, a wife, and an unborn child, but the rocket that Reed, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt, and Tony Stark had sent the Hulk off in exploded, killing his wife and half of that world. As revenge, the Hulk had had enough, and he went back to Earth to make the Illuminati pay for what they had done. He has now smashed his way through every hero that dared stand against him, and he rounded up the 4 of them. Now that he has his arena built, it's time to end this. All of the superheroes have had obedience discs attached to them, which forces them to stand in place in the arena, while the Hulk forces the heroes to listen. My name is Clorinda Roberts. I'm here to speak on behalf of Black Bolt. Last month, my husband retired, and for the first time in 20 years, I got him to go to the Opera House with me. You probably saw what happened on the television. Black Bolt's people came and declared war on Earth. They tore my husband's head off. I don't care. My husband is dead, and I want that man to pay. Then another person steps forward. My name is Tom Foster. My uncle was Bill Foster, and you probably knew him as Goliath. He took the rebel side during the superhero civil war because he knew better than to throw in with the government. Tony Stark and Reed Richards cloned Thor. They cloned a god, and they used him to kill my uncle. They talk about laws, but they don't seem to do anything. So I'm ready for the Hulk's law. Then another person steps up. Doctor Strange dances with the devil, and he nearly killed all of us a few moments ago, or did you miss that? Let the judgment of God be upon you. The Hulk steps forward. Don't like it, do you? It's not fair. It's not the whole story. You have excuses, explanations. You're innocent. These people don't know what really happened. They don't know what's in your heart. Now you know how it feels. The Hulk then opens up the cage, revealing a giant monster that crawls out snarling and flailing around ready to kill everyone. The Hulk explains, the day that I traveled to Sakaar, I was thrown into a pit to fight things like this. And as a spiked tentacle comes crashing down near Tony, Reed pushes him out of the way. Strange screams out in pain as it grabs him and crushes him, so Tony runs forward with a sword that he picked up, cutting the tentacle off, and the creature screams out ready to fight it even harder. So Black Bolt jumps on its head with a spear, stabbing into its brain. It falls dead, and the Hulk congratulates them for succeeding. Next, we were thrown into the gladiatorial training school, where we were told to kill each other, so choose your weapons. Reed tells him, never. And Elio calls out, do it, slave! And the shock goes through all 4 of them. They tried to fight against it, but it was useless. The obedience disc forced them to feel the pain, and Strange turns to Jerome the priest. Jerome, it is now you who has gone too far. I, Strange. May the prophet forgive and embrace us all. And with that, the superheroes of Earth begin to battle against each other, forced to try and kill each other. With magic weapons and fire burning around them, the rest of the heroes are forced to watch as their friends and loved ones fight against each other. Reed continues to barrel down onto Tony as Tony doesn't fight back. Reed tries to reason with him. Defend yourself! But he's busy hacking into something. The nearby Death's Head guards, and they shoot at the Hulk, who sidesteps them easily. So, they force Tony to use those guards to bombard Reed, and as he grows his arm in size, slamming it down next to Tony, the Hulk says, look at that. We're all monsters. Everyone in the arena begins to chant out, kill him, kill him. And a man is watching on the television, a man with the powers of a god, the Sentry, a superhero with the power of 1 million exploding suns. As he watches on the screen, the Hulk gives the thumbs down to have Reed kill Tony, and that's when he rockets off at top speed. Meanwhile, outside of the arena, Sally the reporter and Ben Ulrich are dealing with the crowds. The people of New York are pushing and shoving each other around. They want to see this action, this fighting, the death, the mutilation. They end up pushing down the fence that is separating them from a sinkhole, pushing Ben Ulrich to the ground. Sally runs to his rescue, having to smash a bottle over the thug's head, but the police stop her, telling her that she can't go. The police explain that it's a sinkhole from all of the damage and the people are falling into it non-stop. It isn't safe to go that way. But that's when everyone in the crowd looks to the sky, and they thought the destruction was already done, but it's about to get worse. As as Sally sees the Sentry soaring towards the fight. Back inside though, Reed brings his mace down right next to Tony's head. Everyone is stunned and they realize that it was the Hulk who prevented this. Remember this, puny humans. We came here for justice, not murder. No one on your planet has died by our hands, and no one will. For the Earth to remember who you are, we will raise this city to the ground. I will leave you to your shame. Tony looks back at him, beaten and battered and hurt. I explained it time and time again. This is your last chance to surrender, Hulk. Or what? Back outside, Sally just stands there in disbelief that this is happening as she watches the Sentry hit the arena so hard that he sprays rubble back, hitting the people and throwing more destruction around. Inside of the arena, the Sentry is glowing brightly with the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. Hello, old friend. He grabs the Hulk and he slams him through the wall, the buildings, the city itself to get him out of the arena. Sally runs over to the sinkhole where she helps Ben get out of it, and they look around because the next few hours are sheer madness. Buildings are falling down over the entire city. There's massive destruction and injuries. Sally looks at Ben. What is this? What is going on? And Ben sees the Sentry fighting the Hulk. That can't be good. They begin to try and flee with everyone else, and smoke begins to swirl around them as explosions are following them. Portions of the streets are turning into sinkholes, and fires are burning all around them. New York has been turned into hell, and the Hulk looks back at the Sentry. You don't want this fight, Sentry. He glares at him. Yes, God, help me, I do. Because you're the only one that I can hit like this. He uses all of his power to punch the Hulk in the gut, throwing him through more buildings into the sky, where he comes crashing down into yet another building. The buildings are like tissue paper to these two, and they're all just being torn down. The Hulk stands up. All right, Stark, Richards, all of you, this is on you. Never forget what happens next is on your heads. The Hulk finally catches the Sentry mid-flight by punching him in the face with the full force of the angriest Hulk ever. The explosion is massive, taking out the entire building. Every time the Hulk swings, a mini explosion goes off, and he hits the Sentry over and over until blood is drawn, and the Sentry points his fist at the Hulk and he burns him. Fire begins to spout off of the roof of the building, and it begins to pour over the entire city. It fills the streets, it burns the trees, it takes down everything in its path, and Ben, Ulrich, and Sally are left to see the aftermath of it all. The fire burned for 3 days after this fight. The city was in ruins, but whose fault was that? Back in the arena, all of the heroes are wondering what this guy is even doing. The Sentry is terrified of his own power. Why is he cutting loose right now? Reed turns to Tony. What did you tell him? And Tony tells him, I told him to play God. Hulk and the Sentry come crashing back down into the arena, and that's when he begins to swirl the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns around him, and he drops it on the Hulk. But he persists. He accepts it, and he stands. The Hulk stands up. Reed and Tony tell each other that they need to use the satellites to stop him. They need to prevent the Sentry from burning the world around them. And the Hulk tells them, stupid humans, do you think your machines will stop him? And he jumps into the fire, into the source of the destruction. He sees the Sentry and he begins to pound away on his power. The Sentry asks him, does it always feel this good to cut loose? It's funny, isn't it? After all of these years of me trying to calm you down, it's me who can't seem to stop. The Hulk continues to punch him over and over, draw blood and try to stop him, but he can't. It's too much power for even the Sentry. He turns to the Hulk. Goodbye, old friend. And in the power of the sun, the two men continue to punch each other until there's a massive boom. The fire begins to part, and in the middle, everyone sees the Sentry and the Hulk in their human forms. Sentry thanks Bruce, and then he falls, and Bruce turns back to everyone with green glowing in his eyes. Everyone looks at him, and Rick offers his hand. Bruce, welcome home. But it's Meek who isn't done, as he shouts, Hulk is not done! Come back to us! And he stabs Rick. Bruce falls to his friend's side, and his eyes begin to glow, and he grows in size, and he smashes the insect. He begins to tear through his Warbound, throwing them into each other and smashing them into the ground. The Warbound leap on him, trying to hold him back, and Meek tells him, I will always be there to remind you, because you always forget your purpose, World Breaker. You conquered Cigar. You killed the Red King. You should have slaughtered his people, but you let them live. So I watched them load up an old warp core into your shuttle. They thought that it would kill you, but I knew that it would remind you. We all must now die so that you can remember. You are the World Breaker. You need to make this end. The anger in the Hulk boils up, and something in him snaps. There is suddenly no limit to his power, as his anger is too great. I said he was the angriest before, but I was wrong. This is the maddest he's ever been, as he begins to grow in in size. Reed steps up. Bruce, stop. We'll help you this time. And he slaps his hands together to push the superheroes down. Stop. Without you, none of this would have happened. I'll hate you forever. Almost as much as I hate myself. And that's when they felt it. The Hulk took a step, and the entire eastern seaboard felt it. An earthquake across the world from his step. Everything is breaking and crumbling because the Hulk can't even control his power, and he shouts, "Do it before I break the world!" So Tony calls down the beam that stops the Hulk. He runs over, telling them to shoot at his position, and he runs between the Hulk's legs. That's when we see it. Shakroom! The beam hits him full on with everything, and as it burns away at him, in that moment, remembers his happiness and her death. And with his own death, he could finally be with her. "I'll never leave you, Hulk." "I know. And now, I'll never leave you." Except, that's not how it ends, is it? He can't die, can he? This is the Hulk. And in the smoke and destruction, at the very center of everything, Bruce Banner lays there, staring into the sky. S.H.I.E.L.D. came by and they locked him up, hauling him away. And the Warbound were all arrested. This is the story of the Hulk and how he finally came home. "They call you whatever they want," he said. "Savior, destroyer. All that matters is what you choose. Bear witness to his choice, children, and give thanks to your gods and pray for their mercy. For tonight, the Hulk may sleep, but his rage will never die." And there you have it, World War Hulk retold with their new dramatic fashion. And we incorporated many more of the tie-ins, including Frontlines, Ant-Man, Ghost Rider, X-Men, all the extra fights that you guys said we were missing in the first version of this video. Now, let me know in the comments down below if you want us to move to Aftershock, or maybe to the Son of the Hulk, or do you just want us to be done with the Hulk for a little while? Let me know in the comments down below, and we will look through them and decide what we're gonna do next. And don't forget, you can subscribe right here at Comicstorian to get more comic book rundowns, recaps, and keep up to date in your favorite comics. Click right about here for some Hulk videos, click right about here for something from YouTube, and right about here should be my face. Thank you guys for this amazing retelling of our story. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I'll see you next week right here.